Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 105 for September 6th, 2023. I am Nemesis and I am joined by Alcatraz here.
Hello.
So, not much really in the last couple weeks anime-wise.
Not that we saw.
Just usual trailers and voice actor announcements and stuff for upcoming anime for the fall season. Because it's now, at this point, September, which means fall is almost here.
Yep.
Even though most people go, September means fall, and most of it, no, actually, it's still summer. But hey.
Yeah, fall doesn't hit until the 21st, or halfway through the month.
Oh, yeah, there's that. Still keeping up with a couple of the anime that, been keeping up with.
Yep, like Zom 100 seems to be
that
pretty
finally started going again.
God, let's hope it doesn't get any more delays.
Well, there's that weird minor one which won't appear on like streaming services till Monday this week because of reasons, production issues.
Yeah,
they I know they put out a list. They actually put out the schedule for all but the last two episodes. They're still to be determined. Apparently, like, oh boy.
It's interesting that particular one keeps getting weird delays.
And of course, I've been also still keeping up with Dark Gathering and Yohane. One of which Dark Gathering has done. Okay, they're going some places now.
Oh,
I was also in Dark Gathering, and the character who's in the OP finally appeared. Finally. She's very important.
Oh.
Very important, turns out.
Interesting.
Moving on, though. We're not here to talk about new stuff. We're here to talk about something actually quite old now.
Quite.
Key the Metal Idol, as we said before. This first actually didn't air. It was an OVA, so, came out direct-to-video type of thing. Popping up in December of 1994. And the initial series ran through to August of 96, and then they had two movies which came out in 97.
Yep.
So, it's a very 90s anime, I'll say that right now.
Very
yes.
90s. As soon as it starts playing, I go, oh, I know this art style.
This is 90s. And I'm trying to wrap my head around how to get through this, because, I want to summarize it, but I also remembered, the actual anime itself took an hour and 40 minutes to summarize itself.
There is a lot going on.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm going to try to get through this. Okay, so you got the character Tokiko Mima, aka Ki. She's a robot girl, and she's, a teenager, and she has to become an idol because her grandfather, who's now dead, and turns out to be murdered, says that she has to get 30,000 friends to become human. So she goes to Tokyo, and she meets an old friend of hers named Sakura Kuriagawa, who decides to become her manager. She also meets a couple other people, and then turns out there's a whole company that's manages another idol, but also they're in heavy industries, and they're trying to make robots for the military, and there's a whole conspiracy there. And then turns out there's a whole weird thing going on there. Plus there's a religious leader, and is trying to get her for his own kind of somewhat selfish reasons, kind of, sort of. Again, there's a lot of kind of, sort of here.
A lot of kind of, sort of.
And then it all goes really weird, and then the bad guys are defeated with music.
Yeah, with a touch of mystical powers.
Yeah, there's a lot to get through on this one. I can't say I hate it or dislike it, but it is a very weird, kind of often difficult to parse anime.
It especially through the main series.
I will actually say the first is interesting because the way that apparently they actually divided it, and then we accidentally did that too. Episodes 1 through 7 are considered the first program, which is what we watched, and then we had to watch the second program, which is 8 through 13. As in the third program is the first movie, and the final program is the final movie. Second program is where I was like, what the hell is going on for most of it? To the point where there was times did I accidentally skip an episode? I actually thought to myself, did I skip? No, I didn't. This is just what it's like, I guess.
Yep, there were some points where it's like, hey, wait, what? How did this, what?
I don't understand. And then I looked some stuff up, and apparently I found out, this was supposed to be a 26 episode series. And then it wasn't.
That's why the second half seems weird, because all of a sudden it crushed everything.
And that's also why there's two movies.
Yeah.
It's apparently it would just all of a sudden, that's why everything feels like it's going hyper speed at times, and you're just like, what is going on? Also, by the end, there's a lot of weird dangling plot threads that are like, where was this? We're just not gonna. No, we're not gonna talk.
They
about
tried to explain a whole bunch all at once.
Yeah, it was just the second half is really different. The first half is easy enough to follow.
Honestly, the first half feels kind of slow paced, especially when you compare it to the rest.
It's really easy to follow. Second half gets really just confusing. And the first movie, I would say that literally 90% of the first movie is just plot exposition.
Yep, it's tying
it's
everything
literally
together.
just people talking about the plot. Literally, it's just explaining the plot to the audience. 90% of that, and then 10% is actually moving it forward to set up for the second movie.
Yep. It's basically compressing everything down, tying everything together, explaining things that need to be explained. Overall, I think it needed to be done.
But it's not.
For what they had, it was pretty well done, but the fact that they had to do it.
The first movie was kind of a slog to get through, but it's like also a necessary slog.
Yeah, well.
It's mostly just people talking to each other.
It is.
And like literally most of it is two characters talking to each other while, sitting on a bench and drinking stuff out of a vending machine. Yeah, getting everything all explained for the audience.
Yep. I think they did it better than some other people did exposition, but yeah.
I would just, because the thing was, episode 13 literally has the audacity to end on, it's not time to explain that right now, more or less. It's like, no, you need to explain things, because the last 4 or 6 episodes have been like, what?
Well, the next one they did,
they
all
explained
at
it
once.
over the course of an hour and 30 minutes, and then the other 10 minutes are, Sakura gets kidnapped.
Yep.
And that's okay. So, getting into, I guess, some of the nitty gritty, because I'm not sure we could do the whole.
You want me to talk about it a little? My general thoughts first.
Yeah, sure.
Because you got yours. Yeah. So you said you didn't hate it. I didn't hate it either. I definitely had some really interesting points. The pacing is probably its biggest issue, like we've just been talking about, because they compressed that one. I found it quite intriguing. There was a lot of really interesting concepts and things that they brought up.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of, one of the things that we've talked about with a lot of other things is like the whole what things need to be explained and what things don't need to be explained.
Yeah.
They definitely treaded the line on some of those.
Yeah.
I think they erred on some of them. It's just weird. Some of the concepts they did it right. Some of them I think they probably didn't. But it isn't definitely another example to be used for should you or shouldn't you explain things. But there's a lot. I'm the kind of person that likes world building and things. So those points were definitely more of a positive. I think I might like this a little bit more than you did, but probably not all that much more, because it was a mess. But at times it was fun mess.
It's not them explaining is the problem. It's the fact that they had to stop, basically press pause to explain it.
Right, yeah. And that's probably because they suddenly found out they didn't have the time.
Basically, episodes 8 through 13 are just an utter mess.
Yeah.
And it's confusing and weird and...
The pink stuff is my point of should that be explained how it works or not. Yeah. And they sort of do.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of those they barely explained its details, and I think that was probably a little more than they should have. But I also understand why they did. It's a weird one. Yeah. This whole show can be summed up as it's a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was kind of fun.
Okay, because one of the things is like, okay, the characters you got, again, Key, she is, very robotic.
She thinks she's a robot. She says she's a robot, so that makes sense.
Robot. Her grandfather treats her as a robot. And there's another guy, Tomio Wakagi, who treats her as a robot.
Yep.
And everything. And that's her whole thing. She thinks, and that's the thing, her grandpa, Murao Mima, he's in robotics.
Yep, he makes automatons.
So it makes sense, I guess. I guess he made himself a granddaughter. Or did he?
Did he?
Because a lot of people, some people was like, oh, she's just weird.
She's just kind of weird.
And so she's weirdly enough, despite being like the central character of all these things, it's like a lot of this isn't about her.
It's about the things around
Particularly
her.
Sakura, I would almost say, is practically the main character for large chunks of it.
Yeah,
and there's also
Sakura
Shuichi.
and Shuichi.
Yeah, those two in particular, I think, are the real main characters. It's just Key is just more or less a vehicle to move the plot for large chunks of it.
She's the key to her father's thing. To her grandfather's, yeah.
Yeah.
She's the key to the story, but she's not the main character.
That's the whole thing. Is the catalyst of everything is she goes to Tokyo because she needs to get 30,000 friends in order to become human. At least that's what she was told by her grandfather. There's also on top of that, it opens with there's the two military robots, and they're hiding the fact, they actually go crazy and start shooting like the film crew and stuff after they conveniently paused the video. There's also the whole thing. The power source is still a little iffy.
Yeah, they're like, in order to power it.
Just tell them it's ready.
Yep.
And that whole military robot thing, weirdly enough, the whole they're trying to build military, it kind of gets lost for a while because really get involved in the whole idol thing.
Yeah,
it's like it's always there because we see them. They're what there's called PPOR robots,
or Sipes, I think is a nickname for them.
Yeah, the PPOR robots, and like they're there constantly, but it's like they're like
This is supposed to be like the main plot driving force, because it's the entire reason the bad guys are doing the bad things, is to make the robots work, so they can sell them.
No, actually, there's the whole thing with the idol, the Miho Utsuse.
Yeah.
Utsuse.
But
yeah. She's a big popular idol, and they're going to try to model Key after her, and also actually she's actually pretty clear that something's off about her, and it turns out she's a robot.
She's
the real Miho
idol.
Is like bedridden.
Because apparently controlling the robots kills you.
Yeah, well, at very least puts you through severe pain.
Yeah, and if you keep doing it over and over again.
Reasons.
They never explained.
That one, I think it's supposed to be something to do with the gel, which we'll get into the gel in a bit.
Yeah.
They keep calling it gel too, by the way.
Gel, yeah. Or Geist. Sometimes that pops up in the movie. I think they finally give it that one.
Yeah. I want to get into that a little bit later, but first I want to talk about some of the characters more. Tomoyo Wakagi is barely in the thing for the most part. He's just kind of cool spy man for large chunks of it.
Yep.
And then it's like he has a bit of a history. He's one of the bad guys. Sergey, aka D. Big dude. Just kind of, just tanks a gunshot and just keeps going types of thing. And he's like one of the
insanely strong.
Yeah, kind of one of the big bad guys, except he's kind of a weird dude too.
He's a henchman.
Yeah, he's a henchman. And also, he's like, but he also knows his boss is just utterly crazy, but also just keeps working for him anyway.
Because Yep.
Which is Ajo Jinsaku, who owns Ajo Heavy Industries, and they're the ones trying to do the robots. But also, they made this weird left turn into idols.
The only thing I can think is that was only a thing to use robots and gather gel.
Yeah, that's the whole
that
thing.
was the only reason I can think he was doing that. With one other thing about him.
But Sakura is an old friend of Key's. She's a bit older. She's been living in Tokyo by herself, has a whole bunch of random odd jobs. They don't say it outright, but it's pretty clear she had aspirations, like kind of possibly being an idol.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say it outright, but it's made pretty clear that there's several scenes where it's pretty clear she's giving this dream up to support Key. She's only a little bit older than her, and apparently
they came from the same village.
Yeah, same village. I went to the same junior high, apparently.
There was a slight hint that her and Key might be related, but that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing is like Key, does the whole robot thing. It wouldn't surprise me, Sakura, Sakura's like, goes along with Key's robot thing, but also elsewhere kind of acknowledges he has a bunch of nonsense. It's like, okay, so I guess she just saw Key as a weird tuning girl or something, I guess. Sure.
I guess. I decided I'm going to take care of you because, yeah.
They're both kind of outcasts and whatnot, apparently, so yeah. She moved to Tokyo, tried to make it there, and yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty clear that she didn't make it, and she gave up, and yeah, supporting
now
Key.
She works for a video store.
Yeah.
And does other odd jobs like pizza delivery and whatnot.
Yeah. And Shuichi Tataki is apparently the president of the fan club for Miho. And he winds up meeting Sakura, and they kind of have a thing for each other. They have a big thing for each other. They never really unfortunately never gets a chance to go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that there's a whole thing there.
They were starting to definitely build a relationship.
Yep.
It's like Key's surrogate family now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're actually those two in particular are kind of somewhat interesting characters, thank goodness, because
Thank
they
goodness.
are the main characters. Sakura is, very weird sometimes, but also that beneficial to the plot, I guess. Makes sense. She's a kind of weird person.
She is, but she's not that weird.
But also much, also kind of more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Spunky.
Yeah, spunky. Yeah, she's spunky. She'll jump up and do things.
She will not let someone boss her around.
Exactly. She's got a good head on her shoulders, I
Yeah.
think, and she's not like, it's not like so many anime girls that are all like completely helpless. No, she can handle herself, and she's fairly well grounded in that sense.
Yeah.
But
also, partway through, we meet a cult leader. Goes by the name Prince Snake Eye, apparently.
got bit by a snake and started a cult.
Yeah, this whole cult thing. It turns out he has a bit of a past with the village that Sakura and Key grew up in called it's just called Mamio Valley.
Yeah,
Apparently, the place is very special because reasons.
Because reasons.
We'll get into that. But yeah, he's a short dude, old, very old. Eventually gets his eye messed up. He has to wear an eye patch.
Thanks, D.
Yep. And he's trying to take Key for his cult because he knows that she has powers, and he's trying to use that for his cult thing. And yeah.
How much he actually believes his own religion, his own cult, is in question.
Yeah.
Because, like, he's seen the miraculousness of Key and such, and built it around that. So, like, I think he, like, half believes it.
Yeah. And I guess one other character who's also somewhat important is Hikaru Tsurugi. He's a choreographer, producer, kind of a prodigy.
Yep, he's one of those crazy musical prodigy.
Yeah, he's also
characters.
A little self-absorbed and how shall we say?
Not entirely straight in the head.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's a little.
He's a little off, a little crazy,
prone to bouts of rage.
And
passion, shall we say?
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the kind of the main characters. Tsurugi there, he winds up being fascinated by Key, and he gets really obsessed with her, and like, yeah, his whole thing, he barely cares about other people, and he's just all about the art, and yeah,
he sees a pain in Key that he recognizes in Miho, because him and Miho have history that went south, and he's like still hurting or throwing a fit over it internally, though not admitting it.
Yeah. Guy who thinks he's smarter than everyone else in the room, but he really isn't. But yeah, so the characters are mostly decent, but like, yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of it's muddy just by that weird second half.
Yeah, getting all the pacing. One thing, there are a lot of characters that are all different, but all somewhat important.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have like 3 or 4 main, important characters, and everyone's like a 2-bit momentary character or whatnot that every now and then shows up to do what they do. No, you've got like everyone we listed has some really, consistently important thing, and all very different. There's a lot of characters to keep track of with their own histories and storylines and
I mean, the movie
whatnot.
introduced a whole new character just to help with the plot exposition named Maestro.
Oh, Maestro. Yeah. By the way, Dr. Mima had another person helping.
Yep. And he showed up in the movie, and then he killed himself.
Yep. Out of guilt.
So, getting into the actual plot stuff. Okay, so it starts off, it's like, okay, it's about robots and stuff. But actually, there's actually a supernatural element too, by the way. Yeah, surprise. Actually, Key's a part of a descendant of a long line of priestesses who have special powers.
Yep.
And yeah, she's just the latest, and that's the whole thing there. And apparently, her grandpa was doing the experiments to try to figure out, the whole, how does this all work? Can I use this? And then he stopped when he realized, I'm hurting my wife and daughter, and I need to stop. And then he started doing it anyway. And
Because he was forced to, because
Yeah.
Ajo found out and forced
Ajo
him.
somehow knows all these things, and again, they don't explain that part.
They
How
don't
does
explain
Ajo
that
know all these things? I don't know. He just does.
Yep.
He just knows these things. Don't worry about it.
The only thing about Ajo that points to anything else is that Ajo is a little bit crazy about automatons himself.
He somehow just knows things like about the powers and everything, and
The only thing I think of is, he has connections with the military, so he has like
something or
intelligence capabilities from that, spies or whatnot.
Dr. Mima, he like was working with robot stuff for a long time. It's like you can't really do. It's like the dream's dead because this is impossible.
Yeah, they could never figure out. They could make the physical parts, but they could never get the control and power source right.
Also, that was I think it was like this is the 90s when we didn't have robot. We didn't have bipedal robot things yet.
Not yet. Give it another 10 years.
Yeah, give it 10 years. We're trying to do it. Of course, we could watch one try to walk up the stairs and fail.
I still remember Honda.
Yep. Yeah,
it was
a
so
cool new
cute.
robot, and then it falls over.
Yep.
Oh no!
What was it, the Asimo or something like that?
Yeah, Asmo.
Asimo, because it was based on Asimov.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he discovers this power. Dr. Mima does, and he tries, and eventually stops on it. But he also has to. There's a whole thing where it's like also the gels, but like his daughter coughed it up, and it's like that contains the power or something.
Like, this is what you wanted, wasn't it?
Yeah, and don't touch it. It's burns
Ice
because
cold.
it's so cold. It
Yeah.
burns. Yeah. Apparently, Ajo somehow figured a way to harness it.
Yep.
Somehow,
Yep.
he figured that out.
They didn't explain that at all.
Yeah, and then of course also that they did more experiments on Key, and then that caused her to eventually her personality to go. Pfft.
So yeah, that one, they apparently all the gel that Key's mom was releasing, they hid from Ajo, and it
Yeah.
ended up being like the gel of 30,000 people worth, and they hid it, and then when they realized it, Key had some ability,
Yeah,
because that
yes.
came up later.
That came up.
They went, oh crap, Ajo's gonna find out. So they shoved all the 30,000 worth of gel into Key, and that screwed up her memory and made her think she's a robot.
Yeah, it basically blanked out her memory more or less, and but nope, the human part of her is still alive, and there's a whole thing, and that was a weird split personality thing, and that was kind of vaguely touched on, but not really. Like,
Yeah, it's like one scene.
The human Key is like, oh, I've been waiting to meet you, and then she blows up.
And then she blows up.
It was a weird.
It was
yeah,
weird.
Things got kind of a little metaphysical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again,
that
in
whole-
weird ways, I'm like, what is going on? Why did her mother look at her and then all of a sudden everything burned pink?
Yeah.
Why did that happen? And then all of a sudden Key's screaming about how she didn't want to become human. You didn't?
It's too painful.
Since when?
Yeah.
This entire time?
Yep. Yep. And you needed the 30,000 people because the 30,000 other people, because that would overpower the 30,000 people's worth of gel, keeping her as a robot.
Yeah.
Except that's not entirely true.
Anyway,
But it also was.
Key has powers. We see that earlier at one point. She like stops herself from falling and blows up a robot. But yeah, we see bits and pieces of her somewhat awakening, and then again we get that whole thing. But yeah, the whole gel thing is like weird, and there's also Sergei injects himself with a whole ton of it, so now he's affected because apparently when she's walking around, when she's awakening or stuff, she messes up the robots because of the gel.
Wasn't Sergey.
Yeah, Sergei D.
Yeah.
He injected himself with a ton of gel, and then that made it so now he was more susceptible to Key's powers.
Yeah, well, apparently D has been injecting himself with gel for a long freaking time, and that's why he's so freaking strong, because apparently the gel also gives you, hyper strength and healing abilities and whatnot, because apparently it is the life force essence of a person.
Sure.
That's what it is, contained within an artificial gel source, because it can't exist in solid form. Yeah, and it gives you superpowers, but then, he injected himself with a ton of it, and well, now Key can control him somewhat.
Yeah, he gets negative. He's sitting writhing on the ground in agony because of Key being nearby.
Yep.
Because all the robots just kind of blow up.
Yep.
Well, not really. They just kind of vent all the gel in the atmosphere, and then they just shut down.
Yep. Blows up their power source, basically.
And there's that whole thing. And then, Miho is the idol. She was, a normal girl, and then like something happened. They don't explain what happened. This apparently looks like some sort of medical issue, but they know we got to keep her performing. So now she performs. They get her out of bed and make her perform in the little control unit to control a I guess a robot of her.
The weird one is like they use robots when they don't seem to need robots. Like when they bring in Beneko. Beneko's perfectly fine, but no, you have to control the robot Beneko.
Yeah.
And Miho sometimes. Why?
Because robots.
Honestly, the only thing I can think of is because Ajo is obsessed with his robots. He calls them his sons. And that's the only reason. Like, you could have just
beats
put
the crap out of her, too.
Like, I think Miho's issue was primarily just because she has to keep controlling the robots, and controlling the robots hurts you.
Yeah.
Because even the doctor said, she'll recover perfectly if you just make her stop.
No, we can't do that, though.
But no, we have to make her keep control. No, you have to keep controlling them. Like...
In the robot, Miho.
I decided not to make the joke, but you did. Yeah, but that's what's going on there. But he's just absolutely obsessed.
Yeah.
With, no, we have to have the robots.
Yeah,
have to have the robots.
Later on, they just all of a sudden goes to hype up the whole, he's crazy thing.
Yeah, especially in the last movie.
Yeah, they really just, and he's like really afraid of Key, but he's also, at one point he's like wearing a mask thing for some reason.
I don't know. They didn't ever explain it. He just was wearing a mask.
Is he trying to play cosplay as a robot now?
I don't know. Or is it like some weird thing that's keeping his face fresh or so? I don't know.
And then eventually he tries to control the robots himself when he shakes a bunch and his head goes...
Yeah, because he makes a mistake of trying to take control of the robots as Key is enveloping everything.
And then for some reason the helmet just
went,
crushes his head after he killed everyone else involved in the project, including the backup idol.
Yeah, that's because at that point all the souls of the gels were being released back and they were taking their vengeance.
Because when they were taking they made a machine to like just suck all the gel out of the people in the stadium, and they were collapsing, and Key had to sing to save them. At first it's like, what was that? She sees a vision of her mother who's basically like all these people are cheering for you. Why are you crying?
Yep. But then it was like the whole concern of, her human self has been repressed for so many years. Her mental state is still going to be like a child, right?
No.
And they were afraid of that, and then it turns out that's not the case, and that's what
Sakura she's been like, transmitting a lullaby in like
to the computers. Somehow. They don't explain how that works, but that's fine. They didn't need to.
Fine, sure, why not?
There is a lot of story threads going all over the place. They wrapped a bunch of them up,
and then all were like
in 14 in the 14 movie, but there was a lot more that they needed to wrap up, and they had to do it real quickly.
Yeah. There's the whole thing. There's actually something in the second movie. Actually, well, that's the other thing is Sakura dies at the beginning of the second movie because
that made me sad.
Yeah, I was really upset. Oh, don't
kill
her
off.
Don't
die.
Kill her. Oh, you killed her off.
I was hoping because she was still alive near the end, but then she dies, and I was hoping that they were gonna have she's dying, but Key has her powers and brings her back. Yeah, I was hoping that they were gonna do that, like the kid. Except the kid was a bit different. The kid had an actual disease that she just.
But regardless, it's like she was kidnapped and they sucked all the gel out of her, and she was like something like, "Wow, she has so much in her."
Yep.
Which again,
they took 20 packs. Whatever.
It's an implication that Sakura's probably because she's from the valley.
Probably from the valley. That's probably
what it is. But regardless,
doesn't explain.
So she dies,
Rudy, but
and for a brief moment, Key's sad, and then she goes back to robot.
Yep. She represses back to the emotionless robot.
It's a whole thing there. It's like. At the end, when she's singing, she's doing the thing, she's doing the special song and like taking control of the gel and everything. She somehow does these weird like ghost keys go out all over these different places, and and she goes all over. And then there's the whole thing where like she like says Sakura, except it's not Sakura, it's one of the robots, and then it melts, and then she's freaking out. Oh, you're not Sakura. It's like, yeah, you saw her die.
Yeah,
of course it's not Sakura.
Well, there's also but
then she there's a bunch of like just room full of these containers. I think they're supposed to be urns.
So yeah, the containers. It's the same containers that they had that. God, what is it? Wakagi.
Tomio?
Yeah, Tomio and Mima had that stored all of the stuff that they injected. It's like gel. My assumption is she found the gel that was extracted from Sakura.
Yeah, she grabs the thing, and that's the thing. She finds somehow she's on stage singing, and she's able to grab it. And later in the shot,
she becomes ethereal.
There's the container right next to her up on the big statue.
It's just there now.
And also on top of it, I noticed there's a body there. Was that?
That may have also been what's his face, because the other two guys that were helping
the body,
were
though, it was female.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if it was supposed to be Miho's robot body or the real Miho's body or Sakura's body.
It may have been Miho, because I know the control room that they were doing it all from was in the back of the the head of the thing because she was standing in the eye socket of the big.
That's where the other two guys were, but
but I don't remember because I know.
So I don't know.
was in the control booth because the control booth.
Again, this is that whole. This feels like a lot was cut.
A lot was cut.
Like,
especially in the ending.
Was there going to be a whole thing where she's going to resurrect Sakura somehow? Was that going to be a thing?
Maybe.
Was that supposed to be a thing that didn't happen? Then of course we have the weird whatever the hell happened at after the end credits of the second movie.
Oh yeah,
the Key just meets Miho.
Finally, actually meets Miho.
Hi, I'm Key. End.
Yeah.
We should bring you flower to Miho. It's like,
what? Because Miho's finally recovering after not having.
Yeah, sure, but it's like
the robot after Key screwed with the robot so much and hurt Miho in the process.
Yeah,
maybe it's an apology. Sorry,
but still, it's just like that's a weird end stinger.
Yeah,
it's like, were they hoping that maybe they'd get more? Because it's like I don't know.
Because I don't know what you could.
I'm like trying to wrap it up with one last movie or something.
Maybe I don't know. The ending is a mess.
Yeah.
A lot of things happening all at once.
Looks cool though.
It looks amazing.
I'll say that. Yeah, particularly that final movie.
Creepy.
There's a lot of cool visuals throughout the whole thing.
Like when she finally releases the 30,000 people's worth of gel and it's just pouring out of her and then pouring down the eye socket of the thing.
Pouring out of her eye sockets.
Pouring out of her eyes and mouth and then pouring down just this massive.
And then balloons out in this massive pink thing.
And and then fills up the whole stadium.
And pops the stadium like a zit and like a giant zit on Tokyo.
I was kind of expecting it to overflow into the city, but no, it pops it and then just kind of fades away.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those other things. Hikaru died. Tsurugi, the prodigy guy, he died because he got obsessed with her, grabbed onto an elevator which had an open door and then he let go and he fell down the shaft and died.
Yep.
Because of his obsession.
Yep.
And we also proved, Key wasn't a robot. She just had supernatural powers. No big deal.
Yep. And she wasn't a robot. She just thought she was a robot because her memories were erased and she was around effectively robots for her childhood.
Also, she somehow knew how the robots were built.
Yeah,
again, there's a lot of there's just characters have information somehow. How we're not going to explain that.
The only thing to explain that is maybe due to the gel or the fact that she can pull in life force, she might pull in some information.
Yeah. It seems like that was the case. They think vaguely imply that she can.
She has with her power isn't just telekinesis, but also a little bit of telepathy, sort of like The only thing I can think of is a similar thing to how the I don't know if we want to start referencing like Firefly and Serenity, but
and just one of those also because the whole thing started because just her grandpa saw a priestess dancing with a puppet.
Yep, and went, how the heck does this work? And then fell in love with the priestess.
And then he went, can't explain it. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And then Ajo went, hi, it's me. Do it.
Yeah.
Oh no, now I have to. It's the only thing I can think of the reason why he restarted the experiments is because he was forced to.
Yeah. And then, of course, so all this was just to make military robots, and that just didn't even work I don't know. Was because the military robots an excuse just to build robots?
Yeah, that's the only thing I think of. We know Ajo had an obsession with puppets.
Yeah.
Because they said that even in his military time when they first met, he had an obsession with puppets and automatons. And then we know he was obsessed because he always called them his sons.
Yeah.
They're his sons. So he had this weird obsession with making them real. That's what his driving force is he got not just to make military robots and sell them, but to make his sons. And just went completely crazy about it. That's my explanation.
It's this unclear villain motivation, please.
Mm-hmm. He just want to make his sons real.
It's just
his fake sons.
It's an oddity, and then Key gets her memories back, and it just ends kind of weird. And this also, by the way, everyone just magically knows that Key saved them because they just get a feeling.
I got a feeling.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to get more in depth because it's like I don't know how to, because some of it's like
You'll
so
get lost.
scattershot.
Yeah, it would take us like 3 hours trying to get through the details of it. There's so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spaghetti of details and threads. It's not like, okay, here's a handful of storylines that all run isolated that connect at the end, which I see a lot of. You get those are like, multiple plot lines running simultaneously that all come together. No, these are like bouncing off of each other all the freaking time, especially in the second half. It's just storylines crossing and interconnecting, and it's just, oh my god.
No, there's also the whole thing where Sergei was just in a jail cell for a while, like all weak and bandaged up, and then he like was typing on a keyboard and eventually guessed the password or something, and then that let him get out.
Yeah, something about his experiments.
Yeah,
he was doing experiments, but it was like, what?
Oh yeah, one last thing I want to mention is also there's times just frequent casual nudity, so just be aware of that.
Yeah.
It's not a sexual nudity, it's just it is nudity.
It's 90s anime. They didn't really care about.
It's one of those things that's kind of born of a
topless.
culture that sort of thing's not big deals, and the context is since it's not a sexual context, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. So there's a lot of topless.
There was that thing where like the Miho robot just ripped herself open in front of Tsurugi.
Oh god. Yeah, that was when Beneko was controlling it to mess with him. Yeah.
Just rips herself open, makes him scream like crazy because what?
Yep.
What? This is a lot of that.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of times it'll make the audience go, what?
Yeah, just be aware that there's that thing. So don't watch it with your parents.
Unless your parents are okay with that. I mean, some parents are fine.
It's just something to be aware of.
Yep.
This was done by Studio Pierrot. We brought them up before because they did Nakadama Drive. They also did Urusei Yatsura. That's a big one.
Done a lot. They did some Sonic stuff.
Yeah.
They did like Naruto, Boruto.
They did Naruto. Yeah, they did
Those
Naruto.
Are
they did
kind of important.
And they did Tokyo Mew Mew.
Tokyo Mew Mew. They did some Bleach.
Yeah, but Bleach.
They're a big name.
And did a lot of Tokyo Ghoul.
Yep. Tokyo Ghoul.
So they've done a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Lots and lots of stuff. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm looking at the films too. Wow.
Oh.
And mostly it's just adaptations of other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, continuations of existing TV anime. Yeah, so they've done a lot of stuff.
Yep. They've done a lot of stuff.
So is it worth watching? I don't know.
I would say that depends on what you're into and how you handle
the 90s anime aesthetic and the kind of more of a somewhat sci-fi
semi-cerebral
thing
of
the 90s, sure.
If you can handle a mess and you're into
that. Kind of becomes an utter mess in the second half, but I think if you like the general aesthetic, you'll probably enjoy yourself. If you look at it and go, I don't like that, you probably should just go ahead and skip it.
Yeah, if you can't handle that kind of a mess.
Also, really enough, considering the whole idol thing, there's not actually that much music.
And the metal idol wasn't Key, it was Miho.
Yeah, but actually, the music, there wasn't a whole lot of it. I remember there's a lot of chunks that's just silence. Used effectively, but...
Used effectively, yeah.
But yeah, and also the idol songs, like, is that really an idol song? Oh, sure, I guess.
Yeah.
The I-90s, that's a different time.
It was a different time. It was definitely a different time.
Yeah, so... Yeah, if you just like 90s anime, or just like the aesthetic of 90s anime, go ahead and check it out, but if the aesthetic puts you off, then there's probably no reason to watch this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
That's a big thing. It's just simply the style of it. It is very stylish in its messiness.
I really wish that this, now that I know that it was supposed to be longer, I really wish it had gotten its full length.
Yeah, maybe
I think it could have been really good.
It could have been done better. Maybe we could have actually got some of those plots, wrapped up nicer.
Yeah. Apparently it was well liked at the time.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
it's a weird one.
It's a weird one. I wish it was better. I like what there was, but it was definitely a mess.
I like what they're trying to do.
Uh-huh. Yep.
They tried something, it didn't quite pan out, but hey.
I give them props for their attempt. It was definitely an attempt.
So I guess that's it for this one.
Yep.
Not much else to say, really. I mean, we could say a lot, but it's either
we're
this or we'd go for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, we're pulling threads out and things like yeah.
yeah, I hope if you did like what you heard, you can listen to other episodes at newtoweeboo.libsyn.com. It's spelled Libsyn. If you want to check us out there via the RSS feed, or go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or podcasts on Amazon Music, I believe is what they're calling it now.
Wow, that's quite the mouthful.
So you can go through any of those, search for New to Weeaboo and subscribe, or click the buttons at the top of the Libsyn site, at least for now. They're changing stuff eventually. They told me. They threatened me. It feels like a threat anyway, whenever they change the website. You know, we're going to change stuff for no reason. That always feels like a threat.
Yep.
Anyway, of course, you can contact us via email, newtoweeboo@gmail.com, if you have questions or criticisms or anime recommendations. We always will love to hear those. We may not always follow through, but hey, depending on what you recommend. There's that. And of course, for all the social media, go to newtoweeboo.libsyn.com/contact. It's all listed there, because I'm not going to go through it all. There's a lot now. And of course, our personal ones you'll be able to find via those as well. Should be usually they're listed in some way on those.
Well, yeah, we have our personal ones listed. Diversifying our portfolio of social media contacts.
Right. Stupid Musk.
God, I hate it.
That's it for this one.
Yep.
Join us next time. If all goes well, what are we talking about? Yohane the Parhelion. Genjitsu no Yohane.
You're going to be indulging.
Of course. Have to.
Yes.
It's either now or late November.
Yep.
Or not now, be now. It'll be either late September or late November. I don't want to wait 2 months. So hopefully we don't all of a sudden, oh, by the way, you've been delayed a week, because that will really screw us up.
Oh, yep.
So hopefully that's the case.
Hopefully.
That we get everything all squared away. Again, hope you enjoyed. And hope you guys have a good have a good September, and bear it out a little bit longer. The heat should be going away soon-ish.
Yes, fall is approaching.
Yeah.
Winter, so
we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.